The first time Dr. Evelyn Carter saw Lily, she almost dropped her coffee. Not because Lily was doing anything extraordinary, just standing by the nurse's station, flipping through a patient's chart, but because she smiled. And that smile, quiet yet disarmingly bright, sliced straight through Evelyn's carefully built armor of professionalism. Hospitals aren't meant for romance. They're meant for saving lives, for quick decisions, for exhaustion wrapped in caffeine and sterile air. But somewhere between the 4 drips and heart monitors, Evelyn found herself stealing glances at a nurse she wasn't supposed to notice. Dr. Carter? The sound of Lily's voice was soft but carried the kind of confidence that came from empathy, not arrogance. Evelyn turned, pretending to check her clipboard. Yes, Nurse Bennett? Lily held out a patient file, biting her lower lip. Room 312's post-op temperature is rising. I thought you'd want to know right away. Evelyn took the chart, their fingers brushing briefly, accidentally, but long enough for Evelyn to feel the spark of something she had long buried. She cleared her throat, pretending not to notice. Good catch, she said quietly. That was the beginning. A heartbeat in silence. Evelyn Carter was the kind of doctor everyone admired from a distance. Brilliant, composed, the youngest attending surgeon at St. Mary's Hospital in Seattle. Her reputation was immaculate, her routines disciplined. Work, gym, sleep, repeat. She hadn't dated anyone in years, not since her divorce, not since she realized her ex-husband's touch never made her feel the way she was supposed to feel. Lily Bennett, on the other hand, was warmth personified. 24, newly transferred from a smaller community clinic. She loved sunflowers, dogs, and coffee with way too much cream. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She just wanted to care. Her kindness didn't scream, it whispered. And somehow that whisper reached Evelyn louder than any applause ever had. For weeks, their lives intertwined in small, ordinary ways. Passing charts, sharing elevator rides, exchanging tired smiles during night shifts. But beneath the surface, a quiet storm was brewing. It started the night of the code blue. The emergency lights flashed red in the ICU, alarms screaming. Evelyn sprinted down the hall, her heart sinking with the chaos. What's the status? Cardiac arrest, Lily said breathlessly, already at the bedside, compression steady and fierce. Her hair had fallen loose from her ponytail, and sweat glistened on her forehead. Evelyn took over the airway, barking orders with practiced precision. Minutes stretched like hours until pulse. Lily cried out, relief flooding her face. The patient lived. But something else came alive that night too. When the adrenaline faded, Evelyn found herself leaning against the wall outside the ICU, chest heaving. Lily approached with 2 bottles of water. You okay, Doc? Evelyn exhaled, a shaky laugh escaping. I should be asking you that. Lily smiled. I'm fine. Just, that was close. Their eyes met. For once, there was no hospital noise, only the hum of the vending machine and the distant rhythm of life returning in room 307. You were incredible in there, Evelyn said quietly. So were you, Lily whispered. For a second too long, they didn't look away. The following weeks became a blur of tension Evelyn refused to name. She caught herself anticipating Lily's laughter down the corridor, noticing the way the young nurse tucked her hair behind her ear when she concentrated. She hated herself for this weakness, this distraction. She'd built her entire career on control, and now a single glance could undo her. Then came the charity gala. St. Mary's annual fundraising dinner was an obligatory affair. Stiff suits, polite laughter, donors who pretended they cared. Evelyn wore a navy gown, elegant and simple, her hair swept into a low bun. She was mingling near the champagne table when she saw her. Lily, in a soft ivory dress, her freckles glowing under the lights, her smile shy but radiant. For a moment, Evelyn forgot to breathe. Dr. Carter, Lily greeted, voice barely above the music. Lily, Evelyn replied, the name tasting dangerous on her tongue. They stood side by side watching the crowd. I didn't expect you here, Evelyn said. I was helping set up the auction, Lily replied, then added with a grin. Perks of being the friendly nurse. Evelyn chuckled, something warm flickering in her chest. Well, I'm glad you came. Then silence, comfortable yet charged. When the speeches began, the lights dimmed. Evelyn felt a brush at her arm, soft as a secret. She turned slightly, and there it was again, the look. The same look that had haunted her every night since the ICU. Tender. Curious. Fearless. By the time the event ended, Evelyn's resolve had fractured. "Can I walk you out?" she asked. Outside, the Seattle night was draped in mist and the faint glow of streetlights. Lily shivered. Without thinking, Evelyn slipped off her blazer and placed it over Lily's shoulders. "You'll catch a cold," Evelyn murmured. "Thank you," Lily said, her voice trembling just a little. "You're always taking care of everyone else. Who takes care of you?" Evelyn froze. The question hit deeper than she expected. "No one," she admitted. And before she could stop herself, she added softly, "Until maybe now." Lily's breath hitched. For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then Lily took a step closer, their foreheads almost touching. "Evelyn." Her name sounded different in Lily's mouth, gentle, reverent. Evelyn's hand hovered at Lily's cheek but stopped midair. "This is wrong," she whispered, though her pulse screamed otherwise. "Then why does it feel so right?" Lily whispered back. The next morning, Evelyn woke with guilt clawing at her ribs. They hadn't crossed any physical line, but emotionally, she knew she was standing at the edge of something dangerous. A doctor involved with a nurse? The hospital board wouldn't care about love. They'd call it unprofessional, scandalous. She tried to pull away, ignored Lily's texts, avoided her in corridors. But the harder she tried to bury the feeling, the stronger it grew. One late shift, Lily cornered her by the medicine room. "Did I do something wrong?" Lily asked, eyes glistening. Evelyn's throat tightened. "No. You didn't." "Then why are you treating me like I don't exist?" Evelyn couldn't answer. Couldn't tell her that every time she looked into those hazel eyes, her carefully built walls cracked a little more. "I'm your superior," she finally said. "It's complicated." Lily stepped closer. "It's only complicated if you keep pretending it is." Evelyn turned away. "You don't understand. I've worked my whole life to get here. I can't risk it for what?" Lily interrupted, her voice breaking. "For feeling something real?" Silence hung heavy between them. Evelyn closed her eyes. "I can't." Lily nodded slowly, pain etched across her face. "Then I'll stop trying to make you." She walked out, her footsteps echoing down the sterile hallway, leaving Evelyn alone with the sound of her own heartbeat, steady, cold, and achingly empty. Days turned into weeks. Lily switched departments, and Evelyn threw herself deeper into work. But every corner of the hospital whispered Lily's name, the scent of lavender sanitizer she used, the quiet laughter that once filled the break room. It wasn't supposed to hurt like this. One rainy evening, Evelyn stayed late to finish paperwork. The hospital was almost empty. As thunder rolled outside, she found herself staring at a framed photo of the surgical team, Lily standing just behind her, that radiant smile still frozen in time. Evelyn traced the glass, feeling the sting of regret. "I miss you," she whispered to the empty room. A knock on the door startled her. It was Lily. Drenched from the rain, her hair clinging to her face, eyes bright with something between anger and longing. "We need to talk," Lily said. Evelyn rose slowly. "Lily, it's late, I don't care. I'm tired of pretending this isn't real." Evelyn's heart pounded. "You think I'm not? Then say it," Lily demanded. "Say you don't feel anything and I'll walk away." Evelyn opened her mouth but no words came. Instead, tears she didn't know she'd been holding back spilled over. "I tried so hard not to," she confessed. "God, Lily, I tried." Lily's expression softened. She stepped forward, closing the distance inch by inch until Evelyn could feel her warmth. "Then stop trying," Lily whispered. Evelyn didn't move for a moment. The world outside thundered, rain pelting the windows like applause. And then finally she reached for Lily, hesitant, trembling, desperate. Their lips met in a kiss that felt like both surrender and salvation. The kiss should have been a mistake. It should have ended as quickly as it began, apologies muttered, lines redrawn, hearts locked back into their cages. But it didn't. Instead, it deepened. Evelyn's trembling hands found Lily's face, and all the years of control, professionalism, and restraint unraveled in a single breath. The sterile air of the hospital melted away until there was nothing left but warmth, skin, and the shudder of long-denied truth. When they finally broke apart, Evelyn's forehead rested against Lily's. Both of them were breathing hard, hearts racing in unison. I shouldn't have, Evelyn whispered. I know, Lily said softly, her fingers still tangled in Evelyn's coat. But you did. They didn't say I love you. Not yet. But in that small, quiet room, the words existed anyway, unspoken, undeniable. The days that followed were an impossible blur of light and shadow. They were careful, secretive. Whispers shared between patient rounds, hands brushing in the elevator, stolen glances over coffee cups in the break room. To anyone else, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But Evelyn knew every second with Lily was dangerous, a risk that could destroy everything she had built. Still, she couldn't stop. Lily was a gravitational pull she couldn't fight. When she laughed, Evelyn forgot the world. When she touched her, it felt like breathing after years underwater. But reality has a cruel way of catching up. It started as gossip, small, quiet, venomous. Two nurses in the staff lounge whispered about how close Dr. Carter seemed with the new nurse. A resident mentioned seeing them together after hours. And then one morning, Evelyn was called into the administrator's office. Dr. Carter, said Dr. Helen Morris, the chief of medicine, with her usual cold precision. There have been concerns raised about your professional boundaries with Nurse Bennett. Evelyn felt her pulse spike. Concerns. Unverified, Morris continued, but potentially damaging. I trust you understand the optics. You're in a leadership position. Any hint of impropriety could jeopardize the hospital's reputation. Evelyn kept her expression neutral, her voice calm. There is no impropriety, Dr. Morris. Morris studied her for a long moment. Good. Because I'd hate to lose one of my best surgeons over something personal. When Evelyn left the office, her hands were shaking. That night she called Lily. We need to stop seeing each other. At least for now. Lily's silence on the other end was deafening. Is that what you really want? Lily asked finally, her voice breaking. Or what you think you have to do? Evelyn closed her eyes. Does it matter? Yes, Lily said. It does if you're breaking my heart just to save your name. Evelyn didn't answer. She couldn't. The next few weeks were torture. Evelyn buried herself in work, scrubbing into surgeries, taking extra shifts, anything to quiet the ache. She passed Lily in the halls and forced herself not to look. But the hospital wasn't big enough to hide in. One late afternoon, Evelyn entered the break room and froze. Lily was there, alone, sitting by the window, sunlight painting her hair in copper. She didn't look up. Evelyn hesitated, then walked to the counter, pretending to pour coffee. You can talk to me, you know, Lily said quietly, still staring out the window. I'm trying not to, Evelyn replied before she could stop herself. Lily laughed, a small, bitter sound. You're terrible at it. That broke her. Evelyn turned, the facade crumbling. What do you want me to do, Lily? Pretend none of this happened? Pretend you didn't change everything? Lily stood, meeting her gaze. I don't want you to pretend. I want you to choose. Evelyn's throat tightened. Between you and my career? Between fear and love, Lily said simply. And then she walked out, leaving Evelyn alone with her own cowardice echoing in her chest. The scandal came 2 days later. Someone Evelyn never found out who sent an anonymous complaint to the hospital board, attaching photos of her and Lily leaving together after the gala months earlier. It wasn't damning, but it was enough. An inquiry was launched. Evelyn was placed on administrative leave, pending investigation. Lily was devastated. They're blaming you because of me, she said, tears brimming. No, Evelyn said gently, forcing calm she didn't feel. They're blaming me because I let them. I'll go to the board, Lily said. I'll tell them it was me who. You'll do no such thing, Evelyn interrupted sharply. You're young, Lily. You have your whole career ahead of you. Don't burn it for me. Lily's voice broke. You think I care about my career right now? Yes, Evelyn said, softer now. Because one of us has to. The silence between them hurt worse than any accusation could. When Lily finally left that night, the only thing left in the room was the faint scent of her perfume, lavender and heartbreak. Seattle's winter came early that year. Rain against glass, fog in the mornings, the world wrapped in gray. Evelyn spent her suspension writing reports, attending meetings with lawyers, answering cold, bureaucratic questions that turned her love into evidence. Did you ever engage in inappropriate conduct with Nurse Bennett? No. Were you in a romantic relationship? Evelyn hesitated. Define romantic. Her honesty cost her. The hospital board decided she had compromised the perception of professionalism. She wasn't fired, but she was reassigned no leadership duties, no public representation. A quiet demotion dressed as mercy. When Lily heard, she found Evelyn sitting alone in the staff parking lot, watching rain slide down the windshield. "I'm so sorry," Lily said, voice trembling. Evelyn turned to her, eyes tired but tender. "Don't be. I knew what I was risking." Lily took her hand, tears spilling freely. "I can't stand seeing you like this." Evelyn squeezed her fingers weakly. "Then don't. Go live your life. Be who you are." Lily shook her head fiercely. "You don't get to decide that for me. I love you, Evelyn. That's not something I can turn off." Evelyn's resolve cracked again. She reached out, pulling Lily close, feeling her heartbeat against her chest, steady, defiant, alive. "I love you too," Evelyn whispered. "And that's exactly why I have to let you go." For a while they did. Lily transferred to another hospital across town. Evelyn stayed at St. Mary's, quieter now, her smile rarer, her eyes older. But love, once ignited, doesn't die, it lingers, like music fading down a corridor. Sometimes Evelyn would pass a coffee shop where they used to meet and imagine Lily there, laughing, stirring too much cream into her cup. Sometimes she'd reach for her phone, fingers hovering over Lily's contact, then set it down again. She told herself time would heal it, that distance would dull it. But love has its own sense of time. One spring morning months later, Evelyn was volunteering at a free clinic downtown when she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Still saving the world, huh?" Evelyn froze, then turned. Lily stood there, hair shorter now, eyes just as bright. She was holding a patient file, wearing a new badge that read, Nurse Coordinator Community Outreach. "Lily," Evelyn breathed. "It's good to see you," Lily said softly. "You look tired." Evelyn laughed, though her eyes glistened. "You always did know how to flatter a woman." They both smiled, the air heavy with everything left unsaid. Over the next few weeks, they found themselves working side by side again, this time as volunteers, equals, without the weight of hospital politics pressing down on them. And something began to heal. Slowly, quietly. It wasn't like before, no stolen moments, no fear. Just companionship, respect, warmth. Until one night, as they were locking up the clinic, Lily said, "Do you ever think about us?" Evelyn's hands paused on the door. "Every day. Do you regret it?" Evelyn turned to her, eyes soft in the fading light. "Not a single second." Lily stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Then why do we keep pretending we're over it?" Evelyn exhaled, the old ache stirring. "Because I don't want to hurt you again." "You already did," Lily said gently. "But I'd rather be hurt by you than live half a life without you." Evelyn stared at her, the rain starting again outside, the same sound as that night so long ago. She reached out, brushed a strand of hair from Lily's face, and for the first time in months, let herself smile. "Maybe," she said, "it's time we stopped running." Lily's smile bloomed through her tears. "Took you long enough, document." Evelyn laughed, a sound light and raw. She pulled Lily into her arms, and in that embrace, something shifted, not the reckless passion of forbidden love, but the quiet strength of two people choosing each other despite everything. For once there was no fear, no secrecy, just them. That spring, Seattle felt new again. They spent Sundays walking along the waterfront, sharing stories and cheap coffee. Lily talked about her plans to start a community health initiative. Evelyn offered to volunteer. At night, they cooked together in Lily's tiny apartment, burnt pasta, red wine, laughter echoing through open windows. The world outside could judge, whisper, condemn, but inside there was peace. One evening, as they sat on the couch watching the city lights flicker, Lily leaned against Evelyn's shoulder and whispered, "You know, sometimes I still can't believe we made it through all that." Evelyn smiled. "We didn't just make it through. We grew through it." Lily tilted her head, smiling sleepily. "That's very poetic, Dr. Carter." Evelyn chuckled, kissing her forehead. "You make me poetic." The clock ticked softly. Outside, rain began to fall again, but this time it sounded like music. They didn't need promises or labels or apologies. They'd already lived the storm. Now they were learning how to live the calm. Love, it turned out, wasn't about fireworks or stolen kisses in empty hallways. It was about showing up on rainy mornings, on sleepless nights, on the quiet days when nothing seemed special at all. For months after their reunion, Evelyn and Lily lived simply. There were no grand declarations, no public spectacles. Just the quiet, stubborn rhythm of two hearts that had chosen each other once and refused to unchoose again. Still, the past lingered. At the clinic, people noticed. A few whispers followed them in the break room, soft, uncertain, mostly harmless. But Evelyn still felt the weight of years spent hiding. She'd been trained to be perfect, unflawed, untouchable. Love wasn't supposed to fit in that equation. One evening after a long day, she sat on the porch of Lily's small apartment, watching the sunset bleed orange over the Seattle skyline. Lily came out carrying 2 mugs of tea. "You're quiet," Lily said gently, sitting beside her. "I keep thinking about how easy it is now," Evelyn admitted. "And how much I used to be afraid of that." Lily handed her a mug. "You were protecting yourself." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Maybe too well." Lily leaned her head on her shoulder. "You can stop now. You don't have to protect yourself from me." The words settled in Evelyn's chest like warmth. She turned, brushed a soft kiss to Lily's hair, and whispered, "I know." A few weeks later, St. Mary's Hospital reached out. The board had changed leadership. Dr. Helen Morris had retired, and the new chief wanted Evelyn back not just as a surgeon, but as the new director of surgical education. When Evelyn read the email, she froze. "They want you back," Lily said, peering over her shoulder, excitement lighting her face. Evelyn hesitated. "They do. But, Evelyn sighed. "It's St. Mary's, Lily. The same walls, the same people who watched me fall apart." Lily took her hand. "Then maybe it's time they see you rise." Evelyn looked at her, realizing just how far she'd come, not just as a doctor, but as a woman who finally understood her own heart. "Okay," she said, smiling softly. "Then I'll go back. But this time I won't hide." Her return wasn't easy. Whispers followed her, again, some supportive, others skeptical. But Evelyn didn't flinch. She walked through the halls with quiet confidence, greeting old colleagues, teaching young residents, and doing what she did best, saving lives. And sometimes on her lunch breaks, Lily would stop by with takeout or a cup of her favorite black coffee. They didn't hide it anymore. One afternoon, a young intern nervously approached Evelyn in the cafeteria. "Dr. Carter?" "Yes." Evelyn looked up from her notes. "I just wanted to say." The intern hesitated, cheeks pink. "You and Nurse Bennett, you give me hope. My girlfriend works in pediatrics and, well, it's nice to see people like us not afraid to exist." Evelyn's heart softened. "Thank you," she said sincerely. "That means more than you know." When the intern walked away, Lily grinned. "You're kind of a role model now, you know that?" Evelyn groaned playfully. "God help them." Lily laughed, taking her hand under the table. "You already did." Their relationship deepened, steady and sure. Lily's compassion balanced Evelyn's intensity. Evelyn's discipline anchored Lily's spontaneity. Together they found a rhythm, one built not on secrecy but trust. On weekends they'd drive out of the city to quiet places, small lakes, open fields, mountain trails where no one cared who they loved. Evelyn would take photos of Lily laughing in the wind, and Lily would tease her for being hopelessly romantic for someone who once claimed romance was impractical. Evelyn would just smile and say, "You made me impractical." One evening, as they sat by a campfire near Mount Rainier, Lily gazed at the flames and said, "Do you ever think about what we've been through? How everything almost fell apart?" Evelyn nodded slowly. "Sometimes I think we needed to break to find what was real." Lily turned to her. "And what's real?" Evelyn's eyes softened. "You." Lily smiled, tears glinting in the firelight. "You always know the perfect thing to say." Evelyn shook her head. "No. I just mean it." They didn't need to say "I love you, Anna Marie." It was in every glance, every shared breath, every quiet morning when the world felt soft again. A few months later, St. Mary's hosted a conference on mental health and medicine, and Evelyn was invited to give the keynote address. The topic, authenticity and empathy in healthcare. Standing at the podium, she scanned the crowd rows of white coats, administrators, medical students, and near the back Lily, watching her with that same steady, encouraging gaze that had changed her life. Evelyn took a deep breath and began. "When I first became a doctor," she said, her voice strong but warm, "I believed empathy was a risk, that to care too deeply was to lose focus. So I built walls between myself and my patients, between myself and my colleagues, even between myself and my own heart." The room was silent. "But I've learned something. The moment we forget we're human, when we hide behind our titles and rules, we lose the very thing that makes medicine sacred. Connection." She paused, her eyes finding Lily's in the crowd. "Someone once reminded me that love, in all its forms, isn't weakness. It's courage. And sometimes the bravest thing we can do is simply let ourselves feel." The applause that followed was long, genuine, and full of quiet understanding. Afterward, several colleagues approached her, some to thank her, some to apologize. And though not everyone approved, Evelyn no longer cared. She had found her peace. That night, she and Lily walked along the waterfront, the city lights reflecting off the dark water. "You were incredible," Lily said, slipping her hand into Evelyn's. "I was terrified," Evelyn admitted. "But you were there. That made it easier." Lily smiled. "Always." They stopped near the railing, the wind carrying the scent of salt and rain. Evelyn turned to her, eyes shimmering under the streetlights. "You know," she said softly, "I used to think falling in love was something that happened to other people. People with simpler lives. Fewer scars." Lily looked at her, quiet but certain. "And now?" Evelyn smiled. "Now I think it happened exactly the way it was supposed to. Messy. Complicated. Beautiful." Lily reached up, brushing her thumb across Evelyn's cheek. "We found each other in chaos. And we stayed," Evelyn whispered. They stood there for a long time, wrapped in the hum of the city, the faint music of distant boats, and the heartbeat of everything they had survived. Years passed. Lily became a lead nurse in community health, known for her kindness and fierce advocacy. Evelyn published a paper on emotional resilience in medical teams that changed how hospitals approached burnout. Together, they built a quiet Lifia home filled with plants, art, and laughter. Every year on the anniversary of that first code blue, the night that brought them together, they returned to the hospital chapel. Not to pray exactly, but to sit, to remember. One year, Lily placed a single sunflower on the pew. "For the life we saved," she said. "And the one we built." Evelyn smiled, squeezing her hand. "Both miracles." They sat in silence, the afternoon light filtering through stained glass, painting their faces in soft color. There were still challenges, of course. There always would be. But the difference now was that they faced them together openly, fearlessly. Because love, they'd learned, wasn't about perfection. It was about persistence. About choosing again and again, even when it was hard. On a warm summer evening years later, Evelyn and Lily hosted a small dinner at their home. A mix of friends, colleagues, and neighbors filled the air with laughter. The walls that once confined Evelyn's world had been replaced with open windows and shared warmth. As the guests drifted out and the night grew quiet, Lily lit a candle and sat beside her on the porch. "Remember when you said you couldn't risk your career for love?" she asked teasingly. Evelyn chuckled. "I was a coward." "No," Lily said softly. "You were scared. There's a difference." Evelyn turned to her, smiling. "And you taught me the difference." They sat in silence for a moment, watching fireflies drift through the garden. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we hadn't met?" Lily asked. Evelyn thought for a moment. "I think I would have kept saving lives. But I wouldn't have learned how to live mine." Lily's eyes glistened. "You always say the right thing." Evelyn laughed quietly, pulling her close. "Only because I finally know what matters." Later that night, as they lay together under the hum of the ceiling fan, Lily whispered, half asleep, "You think people will remember us?" Evelyn smiled in the dark. "Maybe not our names. But maybe they'll remember that two women once loved each other in a place that told them they shouldn't, and they did it anyway." Lily's voice was soft, drowsy. "That's enough." Evelyn kissed her hair. "It's everything." Outside, the city pulsed with life, the same city that had once been cruel, now quietly holding them. And in that heartbeat of silence before sleep, Evelyn realized that love didn't need to be loud to be real. Just needed to be true. Epilogue years later, when Evelyn finally retired, her final lecture to young doctors ended the same way every time. Medicine will teach you how to heal others. Love will teach you how to heal yourself. Never be afraid of either. And somewhere in the front row, Lily always sat smiling, proud, still the same bright force that had once walked into her life carrying a patient chart and a smile that changed everything. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe to get notifications about next videos.